This is called Second Mother. We have birth parents and those who take us in. Doesn't make the secondary feel less like kin. My first mother weren't well, and you were there with the medicine for my mind and my heart, and you gave me residence. Place where I could find sanctuary at the age 8, and I respect your rules, was back home at 8. You made sure I had a normal life in non-normal circumstances. You were so proud with your little songs and dances. You was the joy to be around. Second mother, wish I could read this aloud. I am your grandson, but felt more like a mother than my own one. Higher in love than anyone, on a podium you are number one. Birthdays began to feel special again. You nurtured 2 boys to become young men. I know Kevin doesn't visit enough because he's got his own family, but to say it bothers you would be a complete fallacy. It's sad you don't remember all you have said and done for me. Second mother, Nanny Clarke, you will always be the best chef, the best dressed, over 17-year-old lady on this earth. I would rob Fort Knox to own your worth and wish your hip wouldn't hurt. Some people don't get a chance to know their mother, but I was blessed with a second mother. Thank you. Hello, I'm Marc Anthony Clarke Jackson, and I am a poet. Well, an aspiring poet anyway. I was always interested in writing, and then when I started listening to a lot of like hip hop music, I fell in love with an artist called Common. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a poet. He's a rapper, but I found that he was a spoken word artist. So then I went back and found some of his spoken word material. Even bought an album that he did of spoken word poetry, and that's sort of how I got introduced to poetry. And that's what got me into it. And then I started finding other artists and other acts similar to him. Then I started writing, because I found it a very good way to like channel my thoughts and ideas, feelings and emotions that you sometimes don't get out just on a normal day-to-day basis. Other people that inspire me is always going to be like family, friends. In terms of other poets, it's even like, because with poetry you don't just look at necessarily what you're into in terms of what type of poetry. Sometimes you need to look at a whole thing. So I even read stuff like Shaw and Hemingway, which is old classics from the 1800s, as well as a guy named Gary Smith. He wrote a book called Poetry for Young People, and I think it's a really good introduction to poetry. So it has different poems. It has the standard, like everything rhymes, but then it has the ones where it's like very descriptive, different stanzas, you know, like sonnets. It's a lot of things inspire me, and I take what I write from a lot of things that I go through on a daily basis, the things that happen to me when I'm younger, and also stories that people tell me, because I think who you are now is always a product of who you was, or things you've gone through, or people that have been around you during that period of time. I see the persecution you go through trying to wear your symbolic headscarf. I see the tears pour down your face like a river, and I wish I could take half. Half of the pressure and insecurities you get for living out your faith. I'm sick and tired of hearing these comments these fools make behind your back, never to your face. And you just take me back with your beauty, like a giant with all his might. I just want to be the kind of guy you can hold hands with at night, so that we can look up at the stars and the moon in the sky, so I can see the moonlight reflecting off your envious green eyes. But nothing improper, as I would sooner cut off both my arms than to touch you. I know it's rude to stare, but I can't help it. I just simply think you're beautiful. You hold yourself so highly, like a dignitary, like a queen. People think of movie stars and actors, but I envision you as I dream. And I know I don't read my surahs, but have faith in how my heart feels. Because I would gallop on many demons to slay those who bring you evil. But I wish I had so much to say, and it's so awkward on this awkward day, but I have to take my seat because today is your wedding day. I enjoy expressing myself, and it gives me an option to, it gives me a platform to express myself and to get other people to read what I do, even if they dislike it or like it. It's always good to get an opinion. It's always good to let your feelings be known to many people. So I think that's the best thing about what I do. The worst thing about poetry is that financially it's not necessarily like a stable career path until you get published, or unless you go into songwriting or even a bit of script writing, you don't necessarily make money. And even from songwriting and script writing, it's only if a song does very well, or you do it for a big artist, you'll get somewhere. So that's probably the negative side of things. But again, if something's a passion, it's a passion. You persevere. There's a lot of people that want to be actors in this world who won't get every audition they go to, but they keep trying, and then hopefully one day they will get the part they want and success. My main plans at the moment for my poetry is to try and get a book of poems published and actually to go into a bit of songwriting, because I had offers to do songwriting at a time where I didn't think I was ready for it, where now I think I'm a bit more prepared. I would like to actually try and do a bit of songwriting as well as trying to get like books published and also do a bit more performance, because it's probably the weakest part of me is my performance, because I sometimes get tongue-tied, forget lines, get a bit nervous, whereas I really do enjoy the whole writing poetry. Sometimes performance a bit daunting, but I would like to be confident and good enough to just do shows and perform. If you're a young person, then what I would really recommend, if you go to slam.poetrysociety.org.net, it's a program that goes on each year for people aged 11 to 19. They can write their poems that they've already written, submit it, and then if you're chosen, there's a workshop that gets put on for 16 people, and they get to actually perform it in the West End, some of the poems that they write then, or the pieces that they did to actually get into the competition. And what's good about it is a lot of it's online, so if you have access to a computer at your school, you can film a little video of you saying your poem, or send just a paper copy or an email with the poem on it, and they will get in contact usually within 48 hours, and it's something which is really, really good. Other than that, I would say the Poet Society, generally for anyone who's interested in poetry, is really good because it tells you about events. They always have competitions on, but it also, you can submit your work to them. It also has links to other things. So, for example, London Transport has a thing where if you write poetry, sometimes it can be displayed on buses and tubes, and you can do that through the Poetry Society's website, which I think is the most useful one. But you can also find smaller fringe ones if you're more into a specific type of poetry. But I just generally use the Poetry Society because it gives me all the information I need.